Hey guys, Jason here from Ridgeline Overlanding. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Just going for a cruise and grabbing some footage so that we can bring you the 2.5-year review. Truck has just rolled over 58,500 kilometers and she's been performing absolutely wonderfully since day one. So rather than doing a full detail of telling you every little thing about a Honda Ridgeline, which is, what some of the other videos might do, this video is designed to give you a real world look at what has been great and what has been not as great about this truck in the last 2.5 years. So come along for the ride and let's take a closer look at this bad boy. You can see this isn't your average Honda Ridgeline. Done a fair bit of work to it, added a lot of lights and lifts and bigger tires and all this kind of stuff. I don't really want to talk about that. I've just recently released an updated walk around video that basically goes through all the upgrades that I've done on the truck. So if you haven't already seen that video, then please do go check it out. Let's talk about fuel economy. It is definitely a high on this truck. In the first 6 months of owning it, I was averaging 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers in mixed driving. Once I'd lifted it, added a few more other goodies, it's a whole lot less aerodynamic than it was. I'm now averaging about 12 liters per 100, so a 15% drop. Now, in fairness, I don't baby it like I used to. So probably 5% of that is simply me driving a little bit more aggressively, getting into it a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. So probably real world about a 10% fuel economy drop when it comes to all the modifications. If I traveled at higher speeds, US interstates, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, you would see a bigger drop simply because the aerodynamics would have more of an effect. But I'm in Canada. I'm piddling around at 60 miles an hour and taking my time. So ride quality. Wow. I knew it was a good riding truck. I researched quite heavily before I bought this, and it's probably the #1 praised item on this truck. Even with a lift, especially with oversized tires, because I've got a little more couche, this thing rides down the highway with a lot of composure. Off-road, very, very composed. By far the best riding vehicle I've ever had. What's interesting is that the on-road handling is actually every bit as good as it was stock. It still corners really well. There's no excessive lean in corners due to the lift. It's still the same suspension, so it's not like it's all soft and jangly, and I've been extremely happy with that. So yeah, on-road mannerisms, off-road, bumpy trails, whatnot. I've owned Odysseys, MDXs, Civics, Accords, some lowered, some not. My Ford F-150 had a great ride, or so I thought, until I got into this. So, 2 thumbs up when it comes to ride quality. This is a really quiet truck. I did add a lot of soundproofing as part of my audio system upgrade, but even in stock trim, a lot quieter than our Honda Odyssey. Similar quietness to my Ford F-150. I have found pickup trucks to be significantly quieter than minivans or SUVs that we owned, and a lot of that is because the rear wheels are isolated from the cabin. So yeah, a very quiet truck to drive, and that's part of the comfort that we will talk about, Comfort comes down to ride quality, it comes down to noise, it comes down to creature comforts, the seat, the positions, all of that kind of thing. So many aspects to it, and the truck is so well rounded that it really is a very comfortable truck to drive. So I'm cruising along at 60 kilometers an hour, so just under 40 miles an hour on a country road. Nice, quiet vehicle, compliant, no jitters. You would not know that this is a lifted truck unless you're someone short trying to get in and out. But you know what? My wonderful wife of 25 years, she's all of 5'1". She doesn't have any trouble getting in and out. Yeah, ride quality, fantastic. I can't praise it enough. I get in other people's trucks and they're fine. My buddy's Ram, it's the best handling full-size truck out there. It's okay. I certainly don't wish I had it. I love my Ridgeline. I get in my wife's Jeep. It's athletic. It's got lots of get up and go with that Hemi. But between the shorter wheelbase, the air suspension, and it just lacks Honda sophistication, it's not nearly as nice of a drive. And then you get on the off-road and it's a lot more bumpy. So we tend not to take it as much. So we've talked a little bit about comfort, now being a function of ride quality and interior noise. The main area of comfort is going to be your seats. Standard cloth seat, I don't know, 8 or 10 way adjustments, lumbar, all that kind of stuff. Nothing special about it at all, but it's extremely comfortable. It gets the job done. I have zero complaints. In terms of the interior layout when it comes to comfort, it's a Honda. I've owned a lot of Hondas, so I would say that everything is where it belongs. Turn signal is where you'd expect it to be. You know, windshield wiper, it's a two-stick system, which is handy. Really easy vehicle to drive. Let's talk about the IVTM4 all-wheel drive system. And this is a close cousin to the SHAWD all-wheel drive system found in the Acuras. It's torque vectoring. It can send 70% of the power to the rear wheels, and from there, 100% of that 70% can go to either side. So when I've had this thing out in some janky stuff, and if you're, a regular watcher of the channel, I get it out into the backcountry, and, sometimes I intentionally get it stuck just so I can film some rescues. This thing's really capable. It has no trouble getting up the steepest of hills. It finds its traction and away it goes. On road, wow, I've never driven anything like it. It is so good. All the years that I had my F-150, it was powerful, but I never felt on road like it was capable or like it was reliable. I simply felt like I couldn't trust it. I'd be driving in the rain, I'd hit the gas and the back end would break loose. Now that's a function of being rear wheel drive and EcoBoost, but there was no all wheel drive. They don't recommend you driving around in a four wheel drive. You just wear out the components. So you take what you have and you gotta kind of predict when you're gonna need four wheel drive. Whereas a good all-wheel drive system like this is ready when you need it. Can I have fun with it, tossing it around in the rain and the snow? No, you cannot. I've tried. I actually haul an ATV on my utility trailer and I do commercial snow removal. I can't fishtail my truck in the snow. So I do what any self-respecting enthusiast would do. I fishtail the trailer instead. Because I can. I'm driving around at 3 in the morning, clearing sidewalks and driveways, and there's nobody out. Any off-road enthusiast will tell you that four-wheel drive is better than all-wheel drive. And it is for off-road. But for what most people do most of the time, all-wheel drive is not a little bit better, it's way better. So if you're more of a soft roader like me, we're on roads. We're not rock crawling, going through these beds of rock and up these steep cliffs and whatnot. We're not trying to do the hardest trails on Moab. We're just out doing our local forest roads. We're having a good time, and we want to have a traction control system that will have our backs. And this has had my back every time. Okay, I did get stuck once, but I parked it on top of 2 logs and it was high centered. So, if the wheels aren't touching the ground, well, that's a whole different story. As you can see here, there is a perfectly flat rear floor, side to side, and then just a small lip for the channel where the seat clicks in. Makes no difference there because we've got ourselves a subwoofer and a battery Blue Eddy booster pack here. So great, easy vehicle to load stuff in and out of. You see the doors swing open nice and wide. Seats flip up out of the way. Very, very practical back seat. When it comes to doing truck stuff, being utilitarian, this truck is great. Not only does it have the dual action tailgate, which allows you to get her down like this, like any other gate, but she opens sideways, which is fantastic. My golden doodle can jump right on in and I can clean her up after a day of mountain biking. The floor is nice and flat. You can see the wheel wells are tiny. You get a full sheet of plywood back there, laid down flat between the wheel wells. So lots of space. It's not the deepest bed in the world. In fact, it's one of the more shallow ones. But that is because it's got a trunk, and the trunk's got to go somewhere. So you're getting more storage space there. Dry, lockable storage. Also works as a cooler. So yeah, in terms of the utility, I couldn't be happier with it. I mean, it's got I think it's a 1,550 pound payload, which is right up there with the best of the other mid-sizes. In fact, at the time, it was the best payload. Jeep, I think, has come in a little higher since then. And I've had 1,800 pounds back here, and it drove just fine. Would I recommend driving around at 300 pounds over payload? No, don't do it. But it was a load of bricks. I drove it 2 miles, and I came home and unloaded it. But it can. So yeah, very good utility with it. I've added a few extra mods back here, obviously some overland gear to kind of make it my own and help it do what I want it to do. But even in stock trim, it's extremely capable to swallow any load that you'd want. And came with a whole lot more tie-down points and functionality than my F-150 did. And you know, the F-150 is the best-selling truck probably of all time. It was a great truck to have for 10 years, but I don't miss it, not even for a day. Now, when it comes to the transmission, it's got the push-button shifters, and I've kind of got a love-hate relationship with these. I like the idea that they sit down there out of the way and they don't take up any room. I don't love the idea that when my doodle perches him or herself up on here, that they will often end up trying to switch gears for me or, changing traction control settings. I do like that there are paddle shifters here. Yes, I use them from time to time in sport mode, and it just makes it go a little bit faster. If I had to say one thing negative about the transmission, well, there'd be two actually. One is the lag from going in and out of reverse or drive. You push the button and it takes a good second for it to really engage, which is not awesome when you're trying to do a quick maneuver and get out of the way or complete a U-turn or do something like that. Kind of annoying. The other thing is what I would call e-brake creep. So you come to a stop, put your right foot down firmly on the brake pedal, set the e-brake, put it into park, and hope it'll stay put. And it still tends to roll forward a couple of inches, which it is resting on the brake, which is good, better than resting on the transmission. But what it's doing is, if you're trying to line up for your trailer, is actually rolling forward. So you get her lined up just right on the trailer hitch, and then it rolls forward 2 inches and throws you off. So that part's kind of annoying. A quick workaround on that has been actually to put it in neutral and set the e-brake rather than putting it into park. So this would neither be a good, a bad, or an ugly, but there's not a lot of aftermarket support for the Honda Ridgeline. I don't know if you can say that's Honda's fault or not. I mean, they don't sell a ton of these trucks, so the aftermarket, they can only, put in so much effort. What there is a tight-knit community of Honda enthusiasts. So to wrap this thing up, I've had this since February 11th, 2021. I got the first one on the lot at the Honda Way in Abbotsford. It's not without its hiccups, but the more I drive it, the more I love it. The small things, the hiccups, they're just that, they are small things. I love how it drives. It's comfortable, it's efficient. Is it as fuel efficient as my wife's Odyssey was with the same engine? Heck no. It was probably 20% less efficient out of the box, but that's all-wheel drive, that's less aerodynamic, it's not a minivan. So you can't expect that. But it's far better than any other mid-size truck, and of course any full-size truck. It ain't no Jeep, but like I tell people, it gets me where I want to go. So very happy with it. Highly recommend it. If you haven't seen my video, why the Honda Ridgeline is the best truck and why you should buy it instead of an SUV, go watch that video. I've had people tell me in the comments that they went out and purchased a Ridgeline because of that. That was the final push that they needed to go out and buy this truck. And they're happy with it. Because the fact is, this truck does what 99% of the people need to do 99% of the time. I take this places most Jeep owners never would, because they're busy putting 22-inch wheels on their Jeep with low-profile mutters. And you know what? If that's your thing, that's your thing. I think it looks ridiculous, but what do I know? But they're buying their Jeep as a parking lot princess. I didn't buy this to be a parking lot princess. I think it looks pretty good when she's cleaned up, but if you see me out at Costco, feel free to make fun of the traction boards. Yeah, I drive around with my traction boards and my overland gear on, and I'm sure it gets mocked all the time. But those of you that follow the channel know that gear's on there, because at the drop of a hat, I will take 15, 20 minutes more, load in the rest of my gear, and I am gone. 30 minutes down the road, hit the nearest FSR, and a great day on the trails. Midweek, beautiful day in February, roads to myself, no dust, lots of great filming. Check out those videos if you haven't. But anyway, I'm babbling. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been a fun video to make. Just get out, drive around the neighborhood, yak about what I love about my Ridgeline, and hope to influence some other people to go and check it out. So guys, you know the videos are going to keep coming. So until next time, and there will be a next time, go play outside. So if you like to tinker, if you're DIY, if you enjoy finding solutions and making your vehicle unique, then great. Grab yourself a Ridgeline and customize away. If you're the kind of guy that wants to be able to go into the dealer and cut a check for an extra $20,000 and have all the goodies already installed, warranted, so on and so forth, then you're gonna have to take yourself on over to Jeep or Toyota, maybe get yourself a Tacoma TRD Pro with all the extra bells and whistles. You're gonna spend a ton of money, but you'll have what you want. And if that's your style, go for it. But you know, if you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, do a little customizing, learn from the wealth of knowledge, you know, people who have tried, succeeded, and failed, and you know, trial and error, all of that within the Honda Ridgeline community, then use those resources. There's a ton of them. I've met a lot of great people online on YouTube, guys like John DZ from John DZ Adventuring. John, thank you so much for all of your great content. Camping Randy, you know who you are. Dude's got a great website. He's a huge resource for providing parts for Ridgeline owners, as well as pilots and passports. But he's also out there on the trails, as is Ian from No Low Designs. So Ian, John, Randy, those guys are buddies. They're out there cutting great videos. If you want to see what a Honda can do, watch their stuff. It's what I did. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just start rigging them out my vehicle like they did, and I can go the places they go. So I owe a debt of gratitude to those guys, because they're the ones paving the way. You know, it's on their shoulders that a you know, pissant YouTuber like me stands on. Without them, I wouldn't have a vehicle this capable, or the guts or the nerve to take it out into the backcountry.